Hello to all the members of the PT Theodore Facebook group. My name is Gene, and I'm here today to answer a question from one of our latest members, Natalie. So Natalie, thank you so much for joining the group, and thank you so much for your question. It's an excellent question. I think that all the members of the group are going to benefit from hearing what I have to say. So Natalie's question was, what should I eat and when should I eat it? She also had a second question, which was, what can I do to improve my joint quality, my mobility and my flexibility? So these questions both kind of interrelate to each other, which I'll explain in just a moment. But what I'm really excited to share with you guys is my answer, which is probably going to be very different from any type of answer you'll get from anywhere else. And that's this. Natalie and everyone else, believe it or not, nobody should be telling you what to eat and when to eat it except for you. Now, lots of people are going to give you lots of different answers, telling you what to eat, when to eat it, how much, what type, all this sort of stuff. But any advice that you could get from these people and me is going to distract you from the one thing that you should be focusing on, which is tuning into your own body and listening to what it has to say in regards to what you should or shouldn't be eating. Now, you could be following a really healthy plan prescribed by a very qualified individual, but you need to understand that we all have what's called biochemical individuality, which simply means we are as different on the inside as we are the outside. So you could be following this healthy plan, but if you're eating a food that doesn't align with your biochemical individuality, you're going to be suffering symptoms that it isn't right for you. You're going to be ignoring it and following the plan, and you're going to fail to develop the relationship with your body that is necessary to truly experience good health. This is the difference between following the plan and following the experience. So let me give you an example of what I mean by that. Let's look at exercise. Let's say that you have a plan, and the plan is to work out Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So you follow the plan, you train Monday, you train Tuesday, but Wednesday rolls around and your body is telling you, I am so sore, I need a rest. But if you honor the plan instead of the experience, instead of resting, you're going to work out Wednesday, and then you'll work out Thursday, and by Friday, you'll probably get an injury from not resting, and then you're on the bench. Doesn't sound very healthy. What's really required to be healthy is to have a plan, but write it in pencil. It's really important that you learn to honor your experience. So in this example, maybe you train Monday, Tuesday, but if you're really sore, if your body is telling you to rest, well, you should rest Wednesday so you can get back into it Thursday, Friday, maybe rest Saturday, and so forth. And this is going to allow you to find the middle way and find the optimal balance between work and rest. And nutrition's the same. If you honor the plan and ignore what your body's actually trying to tell you, you're going to continue to suffer symptoms and again, fail to build a relationship with your body whose needs change on a moment-to-moment basis. Now, Natalie, and everyone else for that matter, there are certainly some principles I can give you that will send you in the right direction. But fundamentally, you need a way to form a relationship with your body so you can tell what you need on a moment-to-moment basis. I follow the Gene diet. You should be following the Natalie diet. And there is a process to get there. But like I said, I do have some principles I can share with you that will send you off in the right direction. These principles no one seems to talk about. Everyone's talking about calories and all this sort of stuff. And maybe there's something to that, but they forget this fundamental principle, which I'll explain today. So I'm going to unpack some really important nutritional information here. I'm going to show you how it relates to your question about joint health. And I think this is going to give you a really good starting point. At the end of this video, I will summarize everything in a very simple system that you can follow that will really summarize this information in a way that's easy to apply, which is most important. So the first thing I'd like to talk about is your body. Now, what you need to understand about this magnificent organism is that it is a thread that is in the tapestry of nature. We were born from nature. We have evolved with nature. And up until the last 150, 200 years, we had a very intimate relationship with the natural world. But you see, the food industry has changed a lot in the last 150 to 200 years. The way we eat has changed a lot in that time. Our bodies have not. We have the same bodies as we had 10,000 years ago, which grew to live off the land. So we had this very intimate relationship. So if you start to eat in a way where you're putting in fuel into your body for which it is not designed, it's like cutting a leaf off a tree. Okay, it is designed to take in certain natural nutrients, but when you start feeding it artificial, modern, technically created food that wasn't around in nature, the system starts to malfunction. It's like putting the wrong fuel inside a car. It starts to malfunction. So we need to understand that first and foremost, because no one's talking about that. The second thing I'd like to highlight is different things that your organism, your body, needs to survive. It needs two pieces of material to survive. It needs material that we can take in and use as fuel for movement and for living. So no different to the fuel you put in your car. But it also needs material to take into itself so it can replace the cells that make up the physical structure of the body. So once again, if we look at the car metaphor, you need two types of material to make a car run. It's fuel and its physical shape, okay? The steel structure of the car. Your body's the same. It needs fuel for movement. It also needs fuel to replace the cells that make up your physical body. So what you need to know is that the car will only be as high quality as the material you give it. In the same way, if you give your body really low quality material, it's going to make low quality cells and muscles and tendons and skin. And people totally ignore this. So when athletes, for example, are recovering from an injury, they should be eating really high quality food so your body has high quality material to repair that injury. And the same thing goes for you. You will only be as healthy as the food that you eat. And this relates to the question you have about your joint health. Oftentimes we develop lousy joints and aches and pains as we get older because we're feeding ourselves low quality material. So you're creating low quality bones and skin and joints and all that sort of thing. But when you eat really high quality material, you then have the raw material you need to repair your body and not grow old. So that's a very, very important thing that I'm going to dive into a little bit more in just a moment. Now, the other thing you need to know about the body and its relationship to the natural world is that in the natural world, when we ate food, we received nutritional value. Okay, so in other words, when we as an animal or as a human that lives off the land, when we ate food that we instinctively enjoyed, or in other words, found palatable, we got what we need. I'll say it even more simply. In nature, when we eat what we want, we get what we need. So when we ate the food that we found palatable, we would receive the nutritional fuel that we need to meet those needs for survival. So fuel and replacing ourselves. The modern food industry knows this, and it knows that we love to eat things that we find palatable. So they've actually, the food industry has scientists that are working on what makes food super palatable, the taste, the texture, the smell, all that sort of stuff. And what they do is they skyrocket the palatability of food, so it's really fun to eat, but the nutritional value has not scaled up with the palatability. In fact, the nutritional value of this food has dropped right down. So now you can get orange juice that tastes sweeter than a real orange, smells sweeter than a real orange, is cheaper than a real orange, yet contains no vitamin C whatsoever. And this is another fundamental problem with how we eat these days. We are not getting the high quality nutrition we need to be optimally well. And this is why, despite medical advancements, despite all the specialists, despite all the diets that are out there, people are still sicker and miserable and more unhealthy than any other time in human history. And I think it's because we have divorced ourselves from nature. So these are some really important things to know. So what can we do about it? Okay. The first recommendation I would make is that you start eating as much organic produce as possible. Organic, free-range, grass-fed food. Because when you eat that, it's coming from high quality soil. You see, with commercially raised produce, there's herbicides, pesticides, and fungicides that go into the soil to kill off those pests, right? But you also kill a lot of the microorganisms in the soil. So now you're growing plants that are deficient in actual nutrients. Okay, they're also covered in these chemicals. I believe the statistic is that an average American eats about, I think it was 30 kilos dry weight of these chemicals per year. Something like that. I don't remember the exact number, but it's basically a bag of sand of these chemicals that are in our food every single year these people are eating. So these chemicals weren't around in the natural world, so they wreak havoc on our system. So even if you're eating vegetables and things like that, if you're not washing them correctly, or if you're not eating organic food, you're going to take in all these different chemicals. Not good, wreaks havoc on your system. So I'd recommend eating organic food. It's much higher in quality. In addition to that, these nutrient deficient plants are eaten by animals that are jacked full of hormones. in inhumane conditions, and then we eat those animals. And that impacts us. Remember, our body is going to take that food and make its cells out of it. So when you're eating animals that are sick, injected with hormones, that have eaten nutrient deficient plants, we make a poor quality body out of that. So you need to consider all that. So by eating organic, free-range and grass-fed foods, you're going to miss out on a lot of the nasties and get a lot more nutrients into your body. Very, very important. The next thing I would say is that you want to eliminate what Paul Chek calls the 4 white devils. So that's white sugar, white flour, processed salt, and pasteurized dairy products. So these foods contain 0 nutritional value, and they are what's called denatured foods. So they're just not found in nature. They don't come from organic soil, and they actually create a stress response in the body. Flour can clog up your digestive system. It spikes your blood sugar. Sugar obviously will do that too. Okay, we all know that how awful sugar is for us, and it's found in everything. Salt can mess with your body too, because your body actually needs salt, but processed table salt, what it does is it gives you a hint of salt in the taste buds, and then a part of your brain called the epistat says, oh, you're eating something salty, we're going to get minerals and nutrients in with that salt. But because it's processed food, processed salt, you actually don't get the minerals that often come with unprocessed salt. So your epistat says, hey, we didn't get the actual minerals from that salt, keep eating because you still haven't gotten what you need. So this is how you can go through a whole bag of Doritos in one sitting, because the modification of the food tricks your brain to make you keep eating more and more and more. And this is normal with modern food these days. So you want to avoid the 4 white devils. I would also recommend that you have plenty of water. Okay, take your body weight in kilos and times by 0.033. That is how many liters of water you should be drinking per day. Even more if you're doing exercise. The best solution for pollution is dilution. A 1% increase in dehydration of the central nervous system can result in many mental and emotional issues, which means there are people out there with mental and emotional problems who are taking medications who are simply dehydrated. Not everybody, but I guarantee you there are people out there who are just dehydrated. This is really, really important to understand. You can also boost your metabolism by 40% just by staying hydrated. And the last thing I'd recommend, and again, these are just recommendations for anyone who's a Homo sapien. You do want to learn to, like I said, get to know your body and fine-tune your diet based on what you need. But anyone who is a Homo sapien, an organism from nature, will really benefit from these baseline recommendations I'm giving you here. And the last piece of advice I would give you is just make sure you make time for breakfast, lunch, and dinner every single day. Okay, we're so used to waking up and rushing to work, hitting snooze, and just being frantic all day. And this creates a stress response, which results in aches, pains, weight gain, indigestion, gas, bloating, and again, mental and emotional problems. So if you can make time in the morning where you wake up and don't rush, sit and enjoy a breakfast. And then at lunchtime, sit and enjoy lunch. Don't eat on the run. And then at dinner, sit and enjoy dinner. If you can have these checkpoints throughout the day where you just sit and refuel, this will reduce your stress response, increase your ability to absorb nutrients, decrease inflammation, which can then go on to help your joints. And that's just going to make living a whole lot easier. In addition to that, coming back to your question about joints, if you don't eat a lot of organic products and you're eating a lot of processed food that your body doesn't really know what to do with, what it can do is actually begin to inflame the gut. And at that point, what happens is that partially digested food particles can break through your gut wall and create a problem, a digestion problem called leaky gut syndrome. So your food particles fall through the gut wall, your body identifies that as an invader, so now your immune system attacks it, and if you keep eating in a way that things keep falling through your gut wall, eventually the immune system fails, and now you've got these immune complexes traveling through your body that can settle into your joints. Once that happens, your body releases a secondary immune system called the complementary system, which attacks those immune complexes that are stuck in your joints. But the problem here is that the complementary system attacks healthy material too. So in an attempt to kill that invader, it also attacks healthy tissue. So this is where you can really create joint problems too. So just by cleaning up your diet and following these base recommendations here, you're likely to experience less stress, less inflammation, less heaviness in the gut, less aches and pains, less pains in your joints, and so on and so forth. Very, very important. So again, I know that's a lot of information, but this is like, you need to know this stuff, okay? But by developing an education, you can make your own decisions and stop listening to bad advice from people who don't think long-term, who aren't helping you form a relationship with your body, which is really what you need to do to be healthy. So what I wanted to do is just summarize all this in a very simple system that you can apply, okay? So you can see here, I've got my figure of a person with these, 4 or 5 symbols. So at the top here, yin and yang, balance. Gang, it's all about balance. The fundamental cause of poor health is just a lack of balance. So I'm not saying you can never eat dessert again because it's going to cause your body all these problems. It's all about balance, okay? This should be about reducing stress, reducing restrictions, being healthy. So you can totally enjoy dessert, but if you say yes to dessert, is that going to put you out of balance or put you in balance, okay? How can you tell when you're in balance? Your body can tell you. You just need to learn how to communicate with your body and what it's saying to you, all right? So that's the first thing. No foods are off limits. It's all about eating it in balance and moderation. Next up, we have the I. Now, the I stands for 2 different things. I need to eat what I know is good for me, which means you need to find out what's good for you. So it's the I diet, the Gene diet, the Natalie diet, the John diet, the Mary diet. The second symbolism of the I is awareness. You need to begin watching yourself. Pay attention to the symptoms you're feeling when you eat certain foods. How do we do that? Well, we move on to the heart. Keep your attention on how you're feeling in general, but in particular after you eat. How do you feel? Are you lethargic? Are you tired? Are you feeling depressed? Are you anxious? Are you jittery? How do you feel? Because those symptoms of your body, that's how your body communicates to you. And if you don't listen to that, a whisper will turn into a scream, and then your body will start screaming at you with all these problems, and you'll go to a doctor and he's going to give you a medication that does not solve the problem. It just quietens the symptoms, and then you get a preventable disease. No, the real solution to long-term health is to tune into your body, understand these symptoms, and recognize that, whoa, my body doesn't like this. I need to maybe listen to it and figure this out. So remember, it's all about balance, but then you need to watch yourself to figure out what you need, and you do that by paying attention to how you feel. The next thing you can pay attention to is your gut. What symptoms are you experiencing after you eat? Are you gassy? Are you bloated? Are you uncomfortable? Are you crampy? Are you heavy? You know, again, all these are signs that something's not working for you. Pain is a teacher. Pain orients you. If you're feeling pain, you need to go the other way. Okay, when you feel good, whatever you're doing is working for you, usually. And then finally, we have the bottom rung here, which means your poop. Okay, are you constipated? Are you experiencing diarrhea? Your poos should be pleasurable to pass and smooth, and there shouldn't be any problem there at all. So if you're experiencing constipation, you're experiencing diarrhea, there's something going wrong there. So this is all feedback you can take in from your body that will let you know that you're going the wrong way. So there's a bit more we can go into. With my coaching program, we've got a fine-tuning strategy that we do where we actually go right in and work out what's going to work for you. But just as a baseline, if you can understand these base recommendations and then find balance, pay attention to what works for you, follow your heart, trust your gut, and if you do that, your poos will become just like life at that point, which should be smooth and pleasurable, and it should flow. So again, I hope you found that useful. I hope that all made sense. You might need to watch this a couple of times, but remember, just follow this system here, know these symbols and what they mean, pay attention to your body, form a relationship with your body, and you'll be on your way to good health, no medications. You can free yourself from the ails of poor health. My name is Gene from PET Theodore. I hope you enjoyed that. And if you have any questions, please just comment in the group. Lots of love, guys. See you next time.